There are transmissions that clarify mysteries, transmissions that confirm theories, and then there are transmissions that confirm what we all feared. Transmissions that force scientists to fall silent, stare at the incoming data streams, and confront the possibility that humanity has intruded upon a region of space that actively resists our presence. Voyager 2, enduring alone in the interstellar void for nearly 5 decades, has just delivered one of those transmissions. What arrived through the Deep Space Network this time was not the familiar plasma oscillations, the galactic cosmic ray fluxes, or the subtle magnetic draping we had grown accustomed to. This transmission contained disruptions, abrupt, synchronized interruptions embedded within the weakest traces of radio waves, spanning over 13 billion miles of emptiness. And what makes it undeniable, this final signal emerged after Voyager 2's instruments were systematically powered down, after its plasma science detector was silenced forever, and after every remaining system was stretched to its absolute limit. It arrived when Voyager should have been fading into quiet decay. It arrived from a place where the heliosphere's protection has fully collapsed and the galaxy's unshielded forces dominate. It arrived from a domain where the interstellar medium is not passive emptiness, but a dynamic, responsive expanse. And the reaction within the mission team reveals everything. Voyager 2 did not merely report conditions. It reported evidence of opposition, a resistance, or an enforcement from the depths of interstellar space itself. Tonight, we trace from the twin probe's launch to the arrival of this conclusive transmission. And we reveal why this last fragment of data has confirmed the deepest fear among those who study the outer boundary, that the void beyond our sun is not welcoming. And Voyager 2 has finally encountered the consequence of crossing it. Before we can grasp the transmission, we must grasp the journey of the probe that carried it. And that journey traces back to a celestial alignment so precise, it occurs only once every 176 years. In the mid-1960s, when planetary exploration was still emerging from bold calculations, an engineer named Gary Flandreau identified a gravitational alignment among Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune that would enable a single spacecraft to visit all four using slingshot maneuvers. This configuration would shorten a multi-decade tour into mere years. When the opportunity was recognized, the decision was made to construct 2 identical probes to capitalize on this fleeting cosmic gateway, ensuring redundancy while pushing toward the unknown edges of the solar system. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were engineered for this grand tour, designed to harness planetary gravity to accelerate outward and ultimately depart the heliosphere entirely. But what was not fully anticipated then was that this same trajectory would propel the probes into the raw interstellar medium, where the sun's dominion ends and the galaxy's primal conditions prevail. The alignment that enabled the planetary encounters also ensured this final transmission would emerge from the farthest reaches. Voyager 2 lifted off on August 20th, 1977. A resilient spacecraft shielded in thermal blankets, fueled by decaying plutonium, and controlled by processors with memory dwarfed by modern devices. Yet it achieved feats unmatched in exploration history. It endured Jupiter's intense radiation belts. It navigated Saturn's intricate ring system. It revealed the tilted, enigmatic world of Uranus. And it remains the sole spacecraft to encounter Neptune, capturing its deep blue hues and raging storms. In the process, it uncovered active volcanoes, vast ring structures, atmospheric dynamos, cryogenic eruptions, supersonic winds, and phenomena that continue to challenge theoretical models. Then, with imaging systems deactivated and final photographs archived, Voyager 2 traversed the heliopause and ventured into true interstellar space. There, It has depended on faint radio links across distances where signals require nearly 20 hours to reach Earth. But the narrative extends further. As power reserves dwindled, systems were sequentially deactivated, instruments sacrificed to sustain core functions. Even so, recent years brought deliberate shutdowns to extend operations, culminating in the loss of key detectors. And when the final data arrived, Voyager 2 revealed behaviors no model predicted. Behaviors that now align with the conclusive anomalies in this transmission. Voyager 2 did not merely observe planets. It exposed dynamic systems that transformed astrophysics. At Jupiter, it returned vistas of colossal storms and luminous auroras enveloping a world larger than many stars. It documented volcanic plumes on Io, confirming extraterrestrial geologic activity for the first time. These revelations alone could have secured its place in history. But the probe pressed onward. At Saturn, it threaded through hazardous ring particles, traveling at lethal velocities. It probed Titan's dense nitrogen shroud, uncovering organic chemistry of profound implication. Then Uranus, with its extreme axial tilt and faint rings, yielded new satellites, asymmetric magnetospheres, and evidence of catastrophic ancient impacts. Neptune followed, exposing winds exceeding sound barriers, continent-scale vortices, and Triton spewing icy plumes into vacuum. Each flyby constructed a vision of outer worlds teeming with energy and unpredictability. But they also demonstrated a principle. The farther one ventures, the more unpredictable the plasma and fields become. And beyond the heliopause, Voyager 2 found conditions that deviated sharply from expectations. Conditions now echoed in the disruptive patterns of the final transmission. Before its visual capabilities were terminated, a decision was made to capture one ultimate view. Voyager 1 pivoted to image the inner system from billions of miles distant. Within that composite appeared Earth as a minuscule point of light, a fragile mote in a vast beam, redefining human perspective on cosmic scale. Thereafter, the probes operated without sight, relying solely on particle detectors, magnetometers, and wave receivers. Imagery ceased, replaced by streams of numeric data transmitted across immense silence. Voyager became sensor-only, yet persistent, relaying cosmic ray intensities, field orientations, plasma characteristics, and signatures of interstellar entry. But over decades, interpretation grew challenging. Components aged, storage limited, noise accumulated. Archival protocols from the 1970s guided operations. And then, after almost half a century, Voyager 2 began registering disturbances that resisted explanation. Sudden density drops, field compressions, wave interruptions too coherent for turbulence, initially attributed to degradation, then recurring, then intensifying, until in the conclusive transmission, a clear enforcement appeared, something NASA can no longer dismiss. After departing Neptune and entering the outer void, Voyager 2 neared a boundary theorized for generations, yet never directly sampled. The heliopause, where solar wind pressure equilibrates against interstellar forces. This marks the termination of the Sun's extended atmosphere. Predictions suggested a broad, gradual transition with mixing plasmas. But Voyager 2 encountered violence. Shock fronts impacted the craft. Particle fluxes fluctuated wildly. Magnetic orientations twisted unpredictably. Plasma compression exceeded forecasts. For the first time, direct sampling revealed the unbuffered interstellar environment. But crucially, the boundary differed from Voyager 1's crossing. It was compressed, more turbulent, as though reshaped or reinforced in the interim. This discrepancy defied symmetry. And now, with the final transmission, evidence mounts that Voyager 2 did not merely transit a passive boundary. It encroached upon a guarded frontier. Beyond the heliosphere, Voyager 2 entered ancient plasma untouched by solar influence for eons. Expectations held for a serene, low-density medium. But reality contradicted. Instruments detected persistent waves, low-frequency emissions too regular for chaos, too persistent for transient events. They intensified gradually. They modulated in response to environmental shifts. They exhibited structure suggestive of underlying order, like vibrations through a vast medium. This was not the quiescent void anticipated. It was active, resonant, almost vigilant. As Voyager 2 advanced, the emissions sharpened, varying in amplitude and phase. And in the conclusive transmission, those waves abruptly ceased in patterns, interrupted as if damped or suppressed by an external agency. In recent years, power management required irreversible choices. Instruments were deactivated sequentially to preserve others. The plasma detector, vital for direct flow measurements, was among the last sacrificed. Contact remained stable, but capability diminished. When the final packets arrived, the remaining sensors reported unprecedented stability loss. Field strength spiked, then collapsed. Wave detections fragmented. Cosmic ray modulations inverted briefly. The craft should have transmitted weakening, predictable decay. Yet during silence periods, data suggested external damping. And upon resumption, the transmission carried clear signs of boundary enforcement. The extended operation now appears not as triumph, but as provocation. When Voyager 2 systems were conserved, anomalies emerged unaccounted for in models. Magnetic lines compressed asymmetrically, as though deflected around an obstacle. Plasma densities depleted sharply, forming voids inconsistent with uniform flow. Distortions aligned too precisely, persisting beyond natural dissipation. Descriptions internally evoked barriers, regions where interstellar forces consolidate to exclude intruders. Public statements avoided speculation, but records acknowledged potential encounters with structured interstellar phenomena on vast scales. Only with the conclusive transmission has this become irrefutable. Interstellar medium should manifest as turbulent flux. Yet Voyager 2 recorded depletions too orderly, voids sustaining against diffusion. Interruptions synchronized across frequencies. Changes correlating inversely with probe emissions. Impossible for inert plasma. But in the final transmission, depletions deepened, forming extensive barriers not observed previously. Harmonics vanished in sequences matching probe protocols, as though selectively nullified. Voyager 2 relies on radioactive decay, diminishing predictably. Yet prior to the conclusive transmission, sensors noted anomalous stability drops, as though encountering heightened resistance or absorption. RTGS cannot fluctuate upward. Yet briefly, signals weakened then cut in patterns suggesting external attenuation. Timing aligned precisely with boundary signatures in the transmission. Something impeded Voyager 2, environmental or deliberate, just as it delivered its last coherent message. When the deep space network captured the conclusive packets, expectations were for fading telemetry, residual fluxes, thermal logs. But the carrier exhibited erratic drops, data streams fractured, sequences interrupted at non-random intervals. These were not failures. They were enforced terminations. Pulses ceased mid-transmission. Some originated externally, damping the probe's output. Within the transmission, structured voids appeared, pauses too exact for noise or decay. These divided remaining data into fragments, resembling barriers in a stream. Analysts identified cycles deviating from onboard routines. Whatever imposed the interruptions operated outside Voyager's design. It mirrored then overridden the probe's patterns, as if asserting dominance. Doppler analysis revealed shifts inconsistent with motion alone. Some interruptions propagated with velocity, aligning with field compressions. Not debris, not waves, controlled suppression. At peaks, shifts accelerated, coinciding with density voids. Something enforced proximity limits, and the probe registered the imposition. Deeper examination revealed correlations: wave damping with field spikes, density voids with signal cuts, modulations inverting probe outputs. All data converged on one conclusion. The probe faced active resistance. Something in the interstellar medium interacted adversely, countering presence, imposing boundaries with precision. Patterns accumulated over years, concealed until critical mass. The transmission was not endpoint. It was confirmation. In the closing segments, the most definitive disruption occurred. Residual signals damped completely in layered sequences, mirroring probe formats but inverted, as though negated. Not scattering, not interference. Enforced silence, ending with prolonged void, structured and absolute. A boundary asserted. Compiling logs, fields, waves, cosmic rays, and disruptions into timeline, the team confronted unprepared reality. Voyager 2 transmitted proof of enforcement. Not natural phenomenon, not turbulence, but structured opposition. Opposition scaling to intercept a decades-old artifact at interstellar speeds and impose termination in recognizable patterns. Something vigilant in the interspace. Something activated by intrusion. The transmission is no longer data. It is confirmation. And humanity must now acknowledge the boundary it has breached. So now the question endures: what enforces the boundary? Do we interpret the silence as finality? Do we accept the confirmation of isolation? If this transmission unsettled you as profoundly as it did the interstellar mission teams, do not retreat into indifference. Subscribe because the implications extend far beyond one probe. Like this video so others confront the reality of what lies beyond. And tell me in the comments, do you believe this final transmission confirms a natural barrier, an ancient safeguard, or the presence of something that has always known we would arrive?